These are eggs which have just been laid by a moth. Long ago, such eggs were more precious than gold. They are the eggs of the silkworm moth. For thousands of years in ancient China, the life story of this moth was a closely guarded secret. But in time, tiny eggs like these were smuggled into other parts of the world. We are looking at them through the magnifying lens of a camera. Actually, each one is smaller than the head of a pin. Inside each egg, a larva is developing. A larva which will be able to produce natural silk fiber, once a source of fabulous wealth. This ability to make silk is the reason the insect has long been valued and cultivated. The larva which hatches is a tiny caterpillar called a silkworm. Silkworms can be raised in your classrooms. You can then watch them as they go through a series of changes, common to all members of the moth family, called metamorphosis. After hatching, the silkworm is only a few millimeters long, about 1/12 of an inch. The leaves of the mulberry tree are the only food eaten by most kinds of silkworms. At first, the young larva attaches itself to the soft side of the leaf. Eating constantly for 2 or 3 days, the silkworms fill out their skins and lose most of the hairs that once covered their bodies. Soon they will stop eating and become very still. During this resting stage, a new skin forms under the old one. As it rests, we can take a close look at the silkworm. On its head are the 2 small parts which will later send out silk thread. These are called spinnerets. It also has jaws and several simple eyes. Next to the head, on the thorax, are 3 pairs of legs. On the abdomen are extra legs. These are found on many kinds of caterpillar. On each side of the abdomen is a row of holes. Through these holes, the caterpillar breathes. A hole like this is called a spiracle. Watch what happens when the caterpillar wakens from one of its resting stages. First, the skin at the neck cracks, and a new head appears. Then the old skin is shifted backwards bit by bit. The shedding of old skin is called molting and occurs several times during the caterpillar's growth. Finally, the shell of the old head is removed. After the final molting, the silkworm begins its greatest feeding, which lasts for about 10 days. By the end of this time, some 6 weeks after hatching, the silkworm will have increased its weight about 1,000 times. Then the eating will stop. By now, the silkworm has reached a length of from 5 to 7 centimeters, or 2 to 3 inches. Now, the silkworm's body shrinks a bit. The busy weaving motion is a sign that it will soon build a cocoon. Already there is thread coming from its spinnerets. We can provide the silkworms with a framework in which to build their cocoons. Inside the head area of each silkworm are 2 sacs called silk glands, containing a clear, sticky fluid. When streams of this fluid come from the 2 spinnerets, they immediately harden. These 2 delicate threads stick together, forming an unbroken double strand. The silkworm weaves this in a figure 8 pattern. The silkworm is not the only kind of caterpillar that makes a cocoon, but the silk in this kind of cocoon is ideal for weaving into fine fabrics because of its strength and because of its great length. The thread from each cocoon may be more than half a mile long. It takes 2 full days of spinning before the cocoon is finished. We will carefully cut open one cocoon so that we can see what is happening inside. Now more changes are taking place. The silkworm again casts off its skin. What emerges is very different from the caterpillar. In this stage, the animal is called a pupa. The outer skin of the pupa becomes harder and darker in color. Inside, some of the caterpillar's parts are disappearing and new parts are forming. The 2 dark spots are more efficient eyes. After about 2 weeks, the silkworm will cast off its skin for the last time. It has changed into a fully grown adult, a moth. Each feathery part is a sense organ called an antenna, which will help the moth detect sounds and smells. The moth has no teeth. In order to leave the cocoon, the moth makes a liquid which melts the silk fibers. This, of course, ruins the thread, and is why only a few individuals are permitted to complete their life cycle. It has wings, but after 4,000 years of living in captivity, the silkworm moth cannot fly. A female moth has a pouch at the tip of its abdomen which releases a special odor. This odor attracts the male moth and mating takes place. Within a few hours of mating, the female is ready to lay its eggs. Laying eggs is the main function of the adult female. It will lay up to 500 eggs and then die. The main events in the life of this moth are common to all moths. The silkworm moth, however, is domesticated. Why is it that after countless generations as a domesticated animal, it cannot now survive without man's protection? And in what ways are these moths and other domesticated animals different from their wild relatives?